On the 8th of April, 2026, a video quietly went viral across China's major social media platforms. It wasn't about celebrity gossip, it wasn't about finance, and it certainly wasn't about the housing market. This video was made by a creator who used raw data and historical archives to reopen a gateway to a past from 30 years ago. Behind that gate lies a place called the Zhangmutou Detention Center in Dongguan, Guangdong. For 11 full years from 1992 to 2003, that single place locked away a staggering 830,000 people. And out of those 830,000 human beings, how many of them never made it back out? According to the data, thousands of people died or simply vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, the only official response from the authorities has been absolute silence. Today, we are here to give those numbers a voice for the sake of those who were forced into silence. Hi Tracers, how's everyone doing? I hope you're all staying safe and well. Before we dive back into the case, I've got a quick update for you guys. By the way, for those of you wanting to grab some official Tracers merch, everything is live right now. We've got hoodies, tank tops, mugs, tumblers, phone cases, and a whole lot more. You can check it out by clicking the link below. It's fully integrated right here into the video. All right, now let's get right back into the files. On April 8, a creator from mainland China dropped a video demanding a full-scale investigation into the missing persons of the Zhangmutou Detention Center. The moment it went live, almost every related post was flooded with tens of thousands of comments. The topic instantly skyrocketed to the top of the trending charts, before it was abruptly scrubbed and buried by the censors. That single move already speaks volumes. Have you ever wondered what kind of dark past forces the current authorities to be this terrified of letting people talk about it? Let's first understand what kind of place the Zhangmutou Detention Center actually was. Back in the 1990s, Guangdong was China's world factory. Every year, millions of migrant workers from various provinces flooded south. They headed there with barely any cash in their pockets, chasing a future they themselves weren't even sure of. Back then, there was a law called the Measures for Detaining and Repatriating Vagrants and Beggars in Cities. To put it simply, as long as you didn't have a local residency permit, lacked a proof of employment, or weren't carrying enough cash, you could be arrested on the spot as a person with no identity. You'd be thrown into a detention camp and then deported back to your hometown. And Zhangmutou was one of the primary execution grounds for that very system in Dongguan. Now, let's break down the numbers exposed by that creator. From 1993 to 2003, the Zhangmutou Detention Center held a total of 830,000 people. This is the figure compiled by the creator based on accessible, official data. So, where did those 830,000 people go? In the official archives, there are no specific statistics on missing persons. No case summaries on unnatural deaths. No records of those who escaped and vanished. No data on human trafficking victims. And absolutely no grand total of how many people currently have their whereabouts unknown. The authorities only acknowledged a few isolated incidents. What can be found publicly is nothing more than a handful of minor cases scattered at random. So, what does all of this mean? There are only two possibilities. Either Zhangmutou was completely clean and flawless for 11 years, or someone intentionally wiped those problems from the history books. The creator's conservative estimate goes like this. Looking at the historical background and comparing it to similar institutions, at least 800 to 4,000 people died from abuse, starvation, disease, and torture during those 11 years. On top of that, roughly 2,500 to 8,000 people permanently vanished due to escaping, falling victim to human trafficking, being wrongfully deported, or ending up as unidentified corpses. When you combine those two numbers, unnatural deaths plus the missing, The public consensus conservatively estimates that thousands of people became victims of this system. Thousands of people. Those are not just abstract statistics on a page. They were thousands of living, breathing human beings who once walked this earth, who had names and who had families who loved them deeply. You might wonder, with 830,000 people passing through and so many vanishing, didn't their families look for them? That is exactly where the horror lies. This detention center operated like a tightly sealed black box. No proper registration, no surveillance cameras, and zero rights for families to know anything. Inside, everything was pure chaos. Archives were messy, easily destroyed on a whim, and countless records were written under fake names. Whenever families showed up searching for answers, they were met with the exact same line: deported. But deported where? Nobody knew. Meanwhile, inside those walls, being beaten to death, succumbing to disease, or dying of starvation was just another daily occurrence. Without any notice to their families, their bodies were immediately cremated or buried in barren hillsides. As a result, the people back home spent the rest of their lives waiting in vain, thinking their loved ones were still out there, just working in the big city. But there was another path that claimed their lives: to escape. Many of those detained tried to break out by scaling walls, jumping from moving transport vehicles, or fleeing into the deep wilderness. But they ultimately died in the wild, with no one to claim their bodies. From that moment on, they were wiped from the face of the earth. Yet, there was a path even darker than that: human trafficking, especially targeting women. For anyone working in Zhangmutou back then, there was an open secret. The young, attractive female laborers were the most vulnerable to being erased. Once thrown into the center, some were sold off immediately. Some were forced into prostitution, while others were sold to remote, isolated villages. So many women endured unspeakable, subhuman horrors until they vanished without a trace. And to this day, the fate of most who tried to escape remains a complete mystery. And all of this brutality left behind not a single word in the official records. Yet, the moment that creator's video went live, the comment section was instantly flooded with heartbreaking confessions like these. My first love went to Guangdong to find work back in '94. Since then, he vanished without a trace. His mother couldn't bear the heartbreak, and within 3 years, she passed away in deep grief. I was locked up in the Zhangmutou detention center back then. I vividly remember seeing a 5-year-old boy holding his 3-year-old sister's hand. I still don't know if those two kids ever made it out of there alive. Around 2004, near the Chang'an area in Dongguan, you could find dead bodies lying in the overgrown grass at any given time. Millions of migrant workers risked everything to go down to Guangdong. And in every single village, there is always someone who never made it back home. None of this is fiction. This is not a drama. These are the buried memories held in the hearts of millions of people for over 30 years. Dark memories that the authorities never allowed to be voiced and never permitted to have an official record in the pages of history. The only place these voices could exist was in the comments section. And now, even that comment section has been scrubbed and erased. But this forced silence has only triggered another wave of voices. Some netizens have bluntly stated that Northern Myanmar today is no different from the Zhangmutou of the past. That detention center was essentially the blueprint for the modern-day scam and torture complexes we now see in Northern Myanmar. In fact, some believe that what happened in Guangdong back then was far more brutal and barbaric than the death camps of Northern Myanmar. Let's compare the two and break this issue down even further. The scam complexes in Northern Myanmar caught the world's attention because of a few key characteristics: running a sealed black box operation, human trafficking, forced labor, illegal detention, and brutal torture. The Zhangmutou Detention Center, cloaked in its official institutional status, possessed every single one of those horrifying traits. But it had one extra advantage: legitimacy. While Northern Myanmar operates outside the law, Zhangmutou operated strictly within the framework of the law. Under the name of the state's public authority, they carried out these subhuman practices systematically. This single distinction is what truly sends a chill down your spine. And when we talk about this detention center, our minds inevitably return to one massive tragedy: the Sun Zhigang incident. In March 2003, a dark event took place in Guangzhou that shook the public both at home and abroad. Sun Zhigang, a 27-year-old university graduate who had only been working for a year, was forcefully arrested. The reason for his arrest was incredibly trivial. He wasn't carrying his temporary residence permit. Because of that, he was categorized as a 3 without citizen, meaning without identity, without employment, and without a fixed residence. Just 3 days after being thrown into the detention center, this young man died a horrific death after being brutally and mercilessly beaten. The initial statement from the authorities claimed he died of illness. Those 4 words of pure deception instantly ignited fury across the entire nation. The massive wave of public pressure ultimately forced the government to abolish the decades-old custody and repatriation system later that same year. Sun Zhigang, at the cost of his own life, successfully brought this cruel system down. However, the thousands of lives lost during Zhangmutou's 11 years of operation never got to see that day. They died before the system was ever wiped away. Their names never appeared in any news reports. For their disappearance, the authorities merely called it an accident, or worse, said absolutely nothing at all. The creator closed their narrative with a hard-hitting statement. Our conclusion today: the missing persons case of the Zhangmutou Detention Center is a dark ledger, intentionally blurred, a record of death never resolved, and a history forever deliberately covered up. There is one principle we must always believe in: that honesty, kindness, and resilience are the brightest lights in the deepest darkness. The thousands of lives lost in Zhangmutou can no longer speak out to defend themselves, but those who refuse to forget are still here. Those who dare to speak out in the comments section, bearing witness that in every single village there is always someone who never made it back home, they are all still here. And the reason why we are recording and documenting all of this today is to ensure that this dark page of history can never be covered up again. If this video touched your heart, please share it. This isn't for views or popularity. It's about making sure more people know about what truly happened in the past. Your presence here, in this space where stories find refuge, is the very reason why these silenced voices can still be heard. Thank you for choosing not to look away, and thank you for fully supporting this investigative journey so that the truth doesn't end here.